I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to stand in front of my family, holding a glass of wine, about to drop the biggest bombshell of my life. But there I was. And if you ask me how I got to this moment, I'd say it started long before I ever suspected my wife of cheating. Long before the betrayal, the lies, the late night whispers in the other room. It started with trust. My wife Emily was my high school sweetheart. We built everything together: the house, the kids, the life we were supposed to grow old in. She was the kind of woman people admired: smart, kind, the type who would bake extra cookies for the neighbors just because. I thought I knew her better than anyone. Turns out I didn't know her at all. The first crack in my perfect world was small, almost laughable: a misplaced earring on our bedroom dresser. Not hers, not mine. She laughed it off, said it probably belonged to one of our daughter's friends who had come over. I nodded, let it go. Then came the password changes on her phone, the sudden interest in fitness, even though she used to scoff at the idea of dieting. She started taking longer showers, started dressing up more for errands. Still, I told myself I was imagining things. Then came the cruise. She told me it was a girls' trip with her 403 sisters. That's what they called themselves, an online group of women who traveled together. Emily was excited, unusually so. I encouraged her to go, thinking she deserved it, a break, some fun. She came back different. At first it was subtle, the way she looked at me when I kissed her hello, like she was guilty about something. The way she hesitated before telling me stories about the trip, skipping over details. But the biggest change was in our bedroom. She avoided intimacy like it was a chore. One night she climbed into bed and turned away from me like she couldn't stand to be near me. I placed a hand on her hip like I always did, but she flinched. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I started digging. I wasn't proud of it, but I needed answers. I checked her phone when she left it unattended, locked. I searched through her suitcase while she was in the shower. That's when I found them, the antibiotics, and that's when I knew. Emily had caught an STD. I felt sick. My hand shook as I put the pills back exactly as I found them. I didn't say anything that night. I couldn't. But I knew I wasn't going to let this go. I spent the next week gathering evidence, watching her, waiting for the right moment. I was a ghost in my own home, moving through my days with a quiet rage boiling beneath the surface. I replayed every kiss, every laugh, every time she ever told me she loved me, wondering how long it had all been a lie, and that's what led me to tonight. I gathered everyone: Emily, our kids, my in-laws, even some of our closest friends. I wanted witnesses. I wanted her to feel the weight of her betrayal. I poured the wine, my heart pounding in my chest. "Darling," I said, my voice steady, masking the storm inside me, "how about some wine?" Emily shook her head, smiling politely. "No, dear, I'm trying to lose a few pounds." I chuckled, a sound so foreign I almost didn't recognize it as my own. "Or is it because you're taking antibiotics after catching an STD on that last cruise with your 403 sisters?" The room went silent. Emily's face drained of color, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. My in-laws looked between us in shock. The kids froze. But then, the real twist came. My eldest daughter turned to me, her voice shaking. "Daddy, there's something else I need to tell you." For a second, the only sound in the room was the faint ticking of the old grandfather clock. My daughter's voice had cut through the tension like a knife. Everyone was frozen, eyes darting between me and Emily. Emily looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. The glass of wine I had poured for her sat untouched on the table, its deep red color almost mocking her. "Go on," I said, my voice tight. "What else do I need to know?" My eldest daughter, Sarah, swallowed hard. She was 19, home from college for the weekend. She looked down at her hands, hesitating before finally speaking. "Mom hasn't just been lying to you." She turned toward her mother. "You should tell him, Mom." Emily's head jerked up, her eyes wild with panic. "What are you talking about?" My voice was sharper now. My patience, already thin, was gone. Emily opened her mouth, then shut it again. Tell me, I snapped, or I swear to God. She took money, Dad, Sarah blurted out. A lot of it. The room went even quieter, if that was possible. My fists clenched at my sides. What money? Sarah took a deep breath. The account, the one you set up for me and Jake. I felt my heart stop for the second time that night. The college fund, the money I had worked overtime for, the money I had saved for years so my kids wouldn't have to take on student loans like I did. And Emily had taken it? I turned to my wife, whose lips were pressed together, her hands gripping the edge of the table so tight her knuckles turned white. Tell me she's lying, I said, barely able to hear my own voice over the blood rushing in my ears. Emily looked away. I needed it, she whispered. I saw red. You needed it? My voice roared through the dining room. My younger son, Jake, 16, flinched. For what, Emily? A damn cruise? A vacation to get an STD? Emily's head snapped up, her face twisting in anger. That's not fair. Not fair? I slammed my fist against the table so hard the silverware jumped. You stole from our kids, Emily, our kids. Sarah was near tears now, and Jake sat rigid in his chair, his jaw clenched. My in-laws, Emily's parents, sat frozen, looking at their daughter in horror. I was going to pay it back, Emily said weakly. Oh, that makes it all better, I spat. Tell me, how exactly were you going to do that? With your teacher's salary? Or were you planning on taking another cruise with your sisters and gambling your way to a miracle? Emily finally snapped. You think you're so perfect, don't you? She hissed. You work all the time, barely home, always too tired to even talk to me, and you think I'm the bad guy? I laughed bitterly. Oh, so I made you steal thousands of dollars? I made you cheat. Her face twisted in rage. You don't even care about me. You care about work, about money, about... I care about my family, I bellowed. Emily went silent. You think I worked overtime all those years for myself? My voice was shaking. You think I spent sleepless nights planning our finances because I wanted to control you? I did it so our kids wouldn't struggle like I did. I turned to Sarah, whose face was streaked with angry tears. How much is left? I asked, dreading the answer. She sniffed. Barely anything. Years. Years of grinding, of missing out on weekends, of putting every extra dollar into that account. Gone. I turned back to Emily, my breathing heavy. So tell me, Emily, what the hell did you spend it on? She crossed her arms, her lips tight. I don't have to tell you. I let out a slow, bitter laugh. Oh, you will. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get worse, my phone buzzed. I glanced at it. It was a text from an unknown number. I'm sorry, man. I didn't know she was married. If it helps, she told me you were separated. A picture followed. My wife standing on the deck of a cruise ship. A man's arms wrapped around her. The timestamp? 2 weeks ago. I looked up at Emily, who was watching me carefully. She saw the phone in my hand, saw the rage building in my expression, and for the first time all night she looked truly afraid. For a long moment I just stared at my phone, my brain refusing to process what I was seeing. The picture, the timestamp, the words from some random guy who had been with my wife. Emily took a slow step back like she was ready to run. Who the hell is this? I asked, holding up my phone. My voice was eerily calm, but inside I was seconds away from snapping. Emily's face paled. I don't know. I barked out a laugh. You don't know? I turned the screen toward her. This guy says you told him we were separated. That true? She stayed silent. Answer me. Tears welled up in her eyes, and I realized something. She wasn't sorry. She was just scared. I slammed my phone down on the table so hard Sarah gasped. You want to know what pisses me off the most, Emily? I hissed. It's not just the cheating. It's not just the fact that you threw away our family. It's that you didn't even have the decency to own up to it. You lied to me, to our kids, and you thought you'd get away with it. Emily shook her head. You don't understand. Oh, by all means, I spread my arms. Help me understand. Why don't you tell me why you stole from our kids? Why you spread your legs for some loser on a cruise? Because I would love to hear this. She sucked in a breath, her face twisting. Then, for the first time, she snapped, "You want the truth? Fine." She squared her shoulders, her voice dripping with venom. I did it because I was sick of feeling like a nobody in my own damn house. The words hit me like a slap. Emily's breathing was ragged, her hands clenched into fists. Every single day I watched you put everything before me, the kids, your job, our future. And you want to know what I was? A ghost. She let out a bitter laugh. You never saw me, Tim. You never asked if I was happy. You just assumed I was fine because I wasn't complaining. I shook my head, disgusted. So that justifies stealing from your own children. Her eyes darted to Sarah and Jake, and for a second guilt flashed across her face. I was going to put it back, she whispered. You keep saying that, I sneered. Like you had a plan. So tell me, Emily, how? She stayed silent. I nodded, letting the realization settle in. That's what I thought. You didn't plan anything. You just took because it was easy. She swallowed, but I wasn't done. And the cheating? What was that? Another way to make yourself feel seen? Emily's eyes flashed. You don't get it, she spat. You were gone all the time. You think you were this amazing husband, but you weren't. You were a paycheck, Tim. That's it. I was lonely. Something in me broke. I took a slow, measured step toward her. She flinched. You're right, I said quietly. I did work my ass off. I did put the kids first. And you know what? I'd do it again because that's what a good father does. That's what a good husband does. But you didn't just cheat, Emily. You didn't just hurt me. You hurt them. I pointed at our kids, who were both sitting stiff with shock. Emily's lower lip trembled. I wanted something for myself. I let out a slow breath, my entire body shaking. Well, I said, my voice dangerously calm. Now you're gonna get exactly that, yourself. She blinked. Well, what? I turned to Sarah and Jake. Kids, get your stuff, we're leaving. Jake looked up, his eyes wide. Wait, where are we going? Away from her. Emily gasped. You can't just take them. I turned to her, my expression ice cold. Watch me. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my contacts, and hit dial. Hey, Ruby, I said, my voice strong, steady. Yeah, it's happening. I need the papers ready by tomorrow. Emily's face went sheet white. You're filing for divorce? I gave her a look so full of disgust it could have burned through steel. I'm divorcing you, I'm taking the kids, and since you love cruises so damn much. I grabbed my own glass of wine, lifted it in a mock toast, and tossed it straight at her. The red liquid splattered across her white blouse, staining it like blood. Consider yourself drowning. The red wine dripped down Emily's blouse, soaking into the fabric like blood on snow. She let out a sharp gasp, her hands trembling as she looked down at herself in disbelief. But I didn't care, not anymore. Tim, she shrieked, stumbling back. What the hell is wrong with you? I stepped forward, my voice dangerously low. What's wrong with me? I let out a bitter laugh. You stole from our kids, cheated on me, and lied to my face, and you want to play the victim? Her parents, who had been sitting in stunned silence, suddenly came to life. Emily, her mother said in a horrified whisper, tell me this isn't true. Emily's jaw clenched. It's complicated. Complicated? I scoffed. No, Emily, rocket science is complicated. What you did, that's just selfish. I turned to my kids. Sarah, Jake, go pack your bags, we're leaving. Emily's head snapped up. You can't just take them, she shrieked, her voice rising an octave. I met her gaze with a level stare. Actually, I can, because thanks to your brilliant decision-making, I now have all the leverage I need. I pulled out my phone again and hit another contact. Marvin, it's me. Yeah, send everything to Ruby. Pictures, texts, bank transfers. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Wait, what? I smiled, but there was no humor in it. You really thought you were getting away with this, didn't you? Her face twisted in fear. "H- How did you? Oh, Emily." I shook my head slowly. You really think I didn't notice when $48,000 suddenly went missing? The room exploded. 48,000? Sarah shot up from her chair, her face twisted in rage. Mom, you said it was only a little. Jake's chair scraped against the floor as he stood. You stole my college money? Are you serious? Emily's hands flew to her chest. Save it. My voice was ice. I know exactly what you did. She looked like a caged animal now, her eyes darting around the room. I can fix this, she blurted out. Tim, please, we can. I held up my hand. Emily, shut the hell up. The words hit her like a slap. For the first time, she stopped talking. I took a slow step toward her. Let me paint you a picture. She swallowed hard. Tomorrow morning, I continued, I'm filing for divorce. Not just any divorce, though. I leaned in slightly. I'm going to make sure every single person in this town knows exactly what you did. Your coworkers, your students' parents, your boss. Her face drained of color. Yeah, that's right. I gave her a cruel smile. Did you forget I know Principal Thompson? Her voice came out in a whisper. Tim, don't do this. Oh, but I'm not done, I continued, stepping closer. You see, Emily, I'm not just taking the kids, I'm taking the house. Her breath hitched. I'm going to make sure the courts rip this place out from under you. I'll get a restraining order so tight you won't be able to set foot on the damn sidewalk without getting arrested. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Please, I ignored her. And that cruise? The one you had such a great time on? I smiled darkly. Well, funny thing, I spoke to a lawyer. Turns out since you used our shared account to pay for it, I can sue you for marital fraud. Her knees nearly buckled. Her father, who had been silently watching everything, stood up abruptly. Emily, he said, his voice thick with disgust, we raised you better than this. Her mother wiped a tear from her cheek. I'm ashamed of you. Emily choked back a sob. Mom, Dad, please. Her father turned his back on her. I think we've heard enough. And just like that, her own parents walked out on her. Emily looked around frantically as if expecting someone, anyone, to defend her. But there was no one left. Jake stormed past her, his backpack slung over his shoulder. Sarah hesitated for half a second. Then, without a word, she grabbed her things and followed her brother. Emily turned to me one last time, her face streaked with tears. Tim, she whispered, please don't do this. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I picked up my glass, took a slow sip of wine, and smirked. Enjoy your new life, Emily. And with that, I turned my back on my wife, on my past, on everything we had built together, and I never looked back. The night air was cool against my skin as I stepped outside, my kids following close behind. I could still hear Emily sobbing inside, but I didn't stop. I didn't turn around. She wasn't my problem anymore. Sarah and Jake were silent as we walked to the car. The weight of what had just happened was heavy in the air, pressing down on all of us. I opened the driver's side door and took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm still raging inside me. My hands were shaking, not with sadness, not with regret, with rage. Dad, Jake finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Where are we going? I exhaled slowly. A hotel for tonight. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow. Sarah slid into the back seat, pulling her hoodie up over her head. I can't believe Mom did this. Her voice cracked. I don't even know who she is anymore. Neither did I. I started the car and pulled out of the driveway for what I knew would be the last time. Emily was in that house, alone, sitting in the ruins of what she had destroyed with her own hands. And I felt nothing for her, no pity, no sadness, nothing. As I drove, my mind kept replaying everything she said. I was lonely. I wanted something for myself. You didn't care about me. Bullshit. I had given her everything, a home, a family, a future, and she threw it all away for a few cheap thrills on a damn cruise. But there was something still nagging at me, something unfinished. This wasn't over. Not yet. The next day, I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating on the nightstand. 6:47 a.m. I grabbed it, still groggy, and squinted at the screen. Unknown number. I frowned and answered. Hello? A deep male voice hesitated on the other end. Uh, is this Tim? I sat up straighter. Who's asking? The man exhaled sharply. Look, man, I'm the guy from the cruise. My blood went cold. I clenched my jaw. Go on. There was a long pause. Then finally he spoke. I didn't know she was married. I swear. She told me she was separated. I ground my teeth together. Yeah, I saw your text. Why are you calling me? He hesitated. Because there's something else you should know. My pulse quickened. What? Another pause, then. She wasn't just with me. The world tilted. I gripped the phone tighter. What the hell are you talking about? The guy sighed. Look, I don't know if you want to hear this, but there were others. At least 3. Maybe more. My entire body went numb. Emily hadn't just cheated. She had been sleeping around like it was a damn sport. I closed my eyes, trying to keep my voice steady. Tell me everything. The guy cleared his throat. She met me at the casino bar the second night of the cruise. She came on strong, like really strong. I thought it was weird, but hey, I wasn't complaining. You know. I did know. Too well. But then I started noticing things, he continued. She'd disappear for hours. Always had a different excuse. And one night I saw her going into some other guy's room. I confronted her the next morning and she just shrugged it off. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Sounds about right. There's more, he said grimly. I was drunk one night and she let it slip that she had access to some serious money. She said she borrowed it, but she was planning to win big and put it back. My stomach dropped. I shot out of bed. She gambled the money. Yeah, he confirmed. And from what I saw, she lost. A lot. My head spun. Emily hadn't just stolen from our kids. She had gambled their future away. I gripped my phone so tight my knuckles turned white. You have proof? The guy hesitated. I have texts. My heart pounded. Send them to me, now. A second later, my phone buzzed. A flood of screenshots appeared, and there it was. Emily, laughing, joking about using the money as a little vacation fund, telling this random guy how she was planning to hit it big so she wouldn't have to explain a missing chunk of our children's savings. I stared at the messages, my blood turning to ice. This wasn't just cheating. This wasn't just betrayal. This was destruction. Emily had burned our entire life to the ground, and now I was going to make her pay. Nuclear revenge. By the time I walked into the lawyer's office, I had everything I needed. Proof of the affair, evidence of stolen funds, screenshots of her gambling the money away, testimonies from the guy on the cruise. Ruby, my lawyer, whistled as she looked over the documents. She's screwed. I leaned forward. I don't want just a divorce. I want the house, full custody, and every last cent she has left. Ruby smirked. Oh, trust me, she won't be walking away from this. The final blow, I sent Emily a text later that day. Me, check your email. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. I answered but didn't speak. Tim, Emily sobbed. Please don't do this. You don't have to ruin me. I smiled coldly. You did that all by yourself. She choked back another sob. Where am I supposed to go? I tilted my head. I hear the cruise line is hiring. Then, before she could beg or plead 1 second longer, I hung up. Game over, Emily. A week later, I stood in the middle of what was once my home. The house was quiet now. emptied of the tension, the lies, the wreckage of what Emily had done. She was gone. The divorce papers were signed. The house was mine. Full custody of the kids? Mine. And thanks to a brutal court ruling, Emily now owed me every last penny of what she had stolen. She tried to fight it. Oh, she tried. Her lawyer had pleaded for mercy, claiming she had nowhere to go. But the judge, he wasn't buying it. Not after seeing the evidence, not after reading those texts. Emily lost everything. Her job, gone. Fired the same day. The school board found out what she had done. Her savings, wiped clean, redirected to pay back the money she had stolen. Her family, even her own parents, disowned her. Last I heard, she was living in a crappy studio apartment across town, working nights at a gas station. A woman who once had everything, a family, a home, security, threw it all away for a couple of cheap thrills. And now, she had nothing. Poetic, isn't it? The final meeting. 2 months passed before she finally called. I almost ignored it. But something in me, a final curiosity maybe, made me pick up. Emily's voice was small, weak. "Can we talk?" I stayed silent for a long moment. Then finally, "There's nothing left to say." A shaky breath. "Tim, I'm sorry." I laughed, a low, bitter sound. "You're sorry?" I repeated. "For what exactly? The cheating? The lying? The gambling away our kids' future?" Her silence was answer enough. I sighed, pinching the bridge of my nose. "Look, Emily, you made your choices. And these are the consequences." A soft sob. "I lost everything." I exhaled sharply. "Yeah, you did." And you know what? I felt nothing. No pity, no sadness, no regret. For the first time in months, I felt free. I hung up. Moving forward. The kids and I started fresh. A new chapter. Sarah transferred to a different college. Jake focused on basketball, determined to earn a scholarship. As for me, I took all that energy, the rage, the heartbreak, the exhaustion, and I built something better. A new life. A stronger one that didn't include Emily. One night as I sat on the porch watching the sunset, Jake came outside and dropped into the chair next to me. "Dad?" I looked over. "Yeah?" He hesitated, then said, "I'm glad we left." I nodded. "Me too, kid." And for the first time in a long, long time, I smiled, because Emily was finally nothing more than a bad memory, and we were finally free.